Good evening. How are you? Well, it's been raining cats and dogs, whatever that means, but it's pretty damn close because you can hardly go out without getting soaked to the skin. So I didn't think I'd be able to walk and talk today anyhow. There were a couple of breaks and I couldn't get past the rain. So walk inside. And I'm going to be traveling for until a week from Saturday. And I expect I'll be able to send things on the road, and I will if I can. But if not, don't think I've abandoned you. And when I return, I'll tell you where I went. One of the reasons that I want to talk this evening, even though I have other things to do like packing, was ABC's action against Kimmel Live, Jimmy Kimmel. They have issued a finding that they are going to indefinitely preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live. And the reason, they say, is his remarks are offensive and insensitive, and they do not reflect the spectrum of opinions, views, or values of the local communities in which we, ABC, are located. Now, there are a couple of things about this. First of all, I did see the show. And at one point in the show, Kimmel does say that the shooter, Robinson, appeared to be MAGA, and the response is that's not so. Slicing and dicing the facts and the discovery, notwithstanding all the disclosures they make that are improper, I don't know the answer to that question. But here's my response. If he got that wrong, and it's agreed he got that wrong, then the answer is not to indefinitely preempt him. It is to say, make a correction. Now, Kimmel, from what I've seen in the past, if there's a factual difference with what he has to say, I think he would correct it. So why are we going through this? Why do we have this result? Well, ABC had a lawsuit with Trump, and they put $15 million as part of the settlement toward the presidential library of Mr. Trump. This was how they settled the defamation lawsuit. Many of us thought that he shouldn't have done that, either insisted upon it or ABC agreed to it. And ABC apparently is also involved in merger talks. So now, before I get to the conclusion, indefinitely preempt is not firing or canceling, but it's significant. And one of the reasons, there are several reasons it's significant. One is, it was not an accident that the First Amendment to the United States Constitution was about freedom of speech. And I've always said that it's a prepositional freedom. That is, you have freedom of speech. You don't always have freedom after speech. This is a candidate to fit into that second category. And the thing that's also concerning is that there have been a succession of these things in which, when Trump is close to the trigger and he comes out on the wrong end of other portions of Jimmy Kimmel's monologue the other evening, I don't think Trump can stand that. And it was a relative once who said when they put mashed potatoes on his head, he was just humiliated and upset and never quite got over it. That may or may not still linger with Trump. I don't know him. What I know of him from New York, where I lived, and through what I observed of his life, is he's a coward. He's a bully. And that if he is the only person making a claim, you have to be very suspicious of it. But if the shooter's family was of such a nature, I think it's a fair comment. If it wasn't, then it's the subject of an apology. That's what we would do with the First Amendment normally. Now, when we consider that the prime mover of this is Trump himself, we know that there is a string of things that he has done to other people. Bolton searched his home. Letitia James sued her. Schiff, he's always after him, but he can't nail him down. McIver, the congresswoman who went to inspect the facility, and she's been indicted. the Miles Taylor, Chris Krebs, and it's clear, and he doesn't make any pretense that it's otherwise, that he's seeking vengeance after 4 sets of criminal charges against him. Now, it appeared, from what we observed, and everything was public, and we had the January 6th committee that gave us an insight into the kind of evidence they had. And then the indictments were what they call speaking indictments, meaning they gave lots of details, the story. I have mixed feelings about it. To some extent, the jury should be able to understand the charge, but then making it the subject of war and peace is something else. But I've been a criminal defense lawyer a long time, and I did write indictments myself when I was a prosecutor, and you have to walk a fine line. So what we have is we have a man who's had vengeance after 4 sets of criminal charges. And there is a statement by Abigail Jackson that Trump is restoring law and order. What do you think he's doing? Do you think he's restoring law and order? He ignores the Constitution, ignores the statutes, ignores the limitations on his power, gives the thumb to judges, and does all manner of corrosive and bull in a china shop crashing actions. Our nation is at risk. This chapter has to play out. Will more measured people do better? Not based on past performance, recent past performance. We did see on the Hill in the last couple of days very powerful examples of how incompetent and wrong Trump's appointments are for the jobs that they have. That's not something to sneeze at. Why wouldn't you choose the absolute best within the 4 corners of, in my opinion, his bizarre set of policies and beliefs, tutored by nothing in his entire life, probably even attending classes as an undergrad? I know what he says, but maybe I'd like to see a transcript. So where do we stand? Will Jimmy Kimmel come back? I don't know. But this is the second comedian, and let's underscore the fact that it was a comedian, who is on the wrong end of being preempted or canceled. And there's something wrong with that. Those of us who saw the movie V, and you may have seen it, and I'm not endorsing it as a reality, but there's a scene in the movie in which a performer who has a show, and it's a comedy show, and it's a talk show, he literally makes fun of the leader, and the person in the scene looks very much like the leader, and I'm sure for the purposes of the movie it was the same person. And he is amused. What could they do to me? Well, what they do is they drag him out of his house, and he's never heard of again. Are we on the cusp of such misconduct in America? Damn close, damn close. Now, I was proud of those on the Hill who went after our so-called FBI chief and who went after Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s imperial, chaotic, painful, and hurtful choices affecting the children and the aged and everybody in between, giving them bad advice, deterring them from healthy practices by discouraging them to do what we know from medical science to be true. So what can we do? We have to continue to talk the talk. We have to not be silent. We have every right to talk and to describe the fallacies, human, logical, policy-wise, and ideological in the sense of, does this fit our Constitution? Does it fit our law? Is it what we feel in our gut makes sense? And the answer is that on a daily basis, Trump is a horror show, a political horror show. And I think it was James Joyce, who said that he thought life was a nightmare from which he could not awake. And I know that you feel that. You've written to me, I see it, there are polls about it. Some people can't stand to hear or think about Trump. I quite understand that. I actually think the comics use a different voice because we find Trump's voice so painful to hear. It is a destructive voice. It is a voice hearkening back to the dark angels of our early life as a nation state. And we had progressed. And it's like this man is pulling us like some black hole into destruction, annihilation, and a memory that some may not be able to recall because they're going to be encouraged by museums and writings and so forth to say some things never happened that some few people remember. If this doesn't sound like a dystopic tale, what does? So, those of us who can speak or contribute funds or spend time, write to a member of the House or the Senate, encourage Republicans to find a backbone while there's still time to restore the Republic. Because in the end, no one survives a dictatorship. No one. Those wealthy making deals with this guy, they've seen what happened to everybody else. Citizens who join his campaign and think he'll take care of us, not unless he needs you. And when he doesn't, you're gone. So, I think it's unfortunate that the reaction, it seems to me, is disproportionate to a strong comic speech that may have a factual error. And there are ways to deal with that. You know, we have all these people, they have it both ways. You know, oh, look at the governor of Utah. That's the way we should be. And we're not. We're not doing what he says. And he's not even serious, in my opinion, because he wants to say, you people who oppose this, just be quiet. Trust us. We're from the government. Something years ago the Republicans would have thought went the other way against the Democrats. And, you know, can we be a snowflake and a hater and a herder? Well, rationality is one of the first victims of extremists. And that's one of the things we deal with. I don't think you can discuss logically these things with the core of MAGA. And if that remains, we will unfortunately live through Jimmy J's nightmare. And it will persist. If we fight it, we resist it. History teaches us that we have rallied in the past to restore and maintain and preserve and protect our nation. That's where we have to end up. So that's all I got to say tonight, and I'll probably be in touch on a daily basis, but I don't know. No mystery here. Talk to you. Bye-bye.